Hello, and welcome to our first podcast with us, Books and Stuff. Walter Hassel, I'm here with Sachi Pandi
Yes.
and Ezra Zirahan.
Hello.
And today, our topic of conversation is The Jungle, the book The Jungle by Upton Sinclair. So, first off, I suppose we should try to figure out what his thesis actually was. We've all read the book.
Right. Yes.
Um, So, what do you guys think Sinclair is trying to argue or persuade us to do?
Well, the main point of Sinclair's whole book was that, of the labor conditions, basically, how, all these mishaps are happening to him, but this is because of all the bad labor conditions, everything, how, the labor is so suppressed and everything, but sadly, not many people actually saw that during the time.
He thinks that capitalism has very little to offer humanity, that at every twist and turn in the story, he shows that Jargus, the main character, and their family are cheated by corrupt people in capitalism who abuse them for their own gain. And then near the end of the book, he sort of throws out socialism there as the solution to all of these problems.
And I think in all, he's just trying to kind of kind of show us how there's this lost society of lower class citizens who are stuck suffering in a condition where they just can't escape because it's nearly impossible because of the corruption of the society. And he believes that, with socialism, how this could possibly giving the lower class more leeway could possibly lead to better conditions and an overall better society for America.
So, I guess we'll start off with the first couple chapters here. In them, we see Jargus and Ona being married, right?
Right, yes.
And in a very sympathetic setting where we saw the community and they're all rejoicing, dancing with each other, things like that. And then, obviously, they hear about one of their friends who's doing well in America. But when they go there to visit him, they find that he was not, in fact, living like a king, but in fact, he was struggling to survive. So, right there, Sinclair denounces the American dream for immigrants through personal experience. What did you guys think when you read about Jokubus and how he wasn't doing very well?
I feel like the whole American dream was kind of set up because of how America started off as basically immigrants coming into this new country, but it kind of shows a contrast, I guess, between the old life and the supposed new life of America. But actually, it proves to be, according to Sinclair, probably worse off, the more suffering.
And Jargus's response to this was, "I will work harder." That's what he said. He said, "I will work harder," and I found that pretty interesting because um, Sinclair was just blatantly setting up the immigrants to the American virtues of hard work and optimism. What do you guys think about that? How Sinclair set that up?
Yeah, I think that is actually kind of true because it's showing how, I think it's actually showing kind of how all these immigrants must have felt. They must have thought like they were going there thinking, yes, we will work hard. We will actually work hard and make money and live a better life because their probably psychology was like, if we work hard, we will actually like get effort and get more put more effort. We will get somewhere in this life. But sadly, it shows that it's not quite that way because sometimes because actually in America it doesn't matter it doesn't matter how hard you try, but if the conditions aren't working for you, you will never get anywhere.
When they enter the meat industry, which this was one of the prongs of Sinclair's argument, was the corruption and foulness of the meat industry. So, would you guys agree with that?
Probably he wants to create some kind of connection between the workers and consumers. Usually they are more contrasted, which the businesses could obviously take over because the lower class can help the middle class and vice versa. So the industries realized they could put these terrible things in their meat and call it meat. And there was really nothing the workers could change about that. They had really not much power at all. And the middle class, they didn't even know they couldn't understand.
That's exactly it, I think. So, as they say, Sinclair aimed for the country's heart and got its stomach. Do you agree with Sinclair's implied argument that one must be dishonest or dastardly to be successful in the capitalist system?
I would think that like morally, like you would want to agree with the fact that like if you work like honestly and hard, like you will get somewhere. But like in reality, that's not how it is because sometimes you have to resort to dirt tactics to actually get what you want. Like people do it in war, people do it in business. People have to do it all the time. Like even if like because the harsh truth about like all this is like being nice is not going to get you that far in like all this business and stuff. Sadly, that is true. So like you have to like resort to different and like efficient tactics that they might be dirty, but like still more efficient than being nice to get things done.
So, in these chapters, we start to see how the family's inner workings seem to deteriorate a little. Like, the new baby isn't very well taken care of. Jargus beats his frostbitten son, I think it was, for not going to work and things like that. So, what do you all think the significance of the breakdown of the family? What do you think Sinclair is trying to demonstrate there?
Well, I think what he's saying is that like okay, so like how all this stuff is based. I think it's all that like this whole capitalism system, like how they're getting so much, like how so much misfortune is falling upon them. How like it's just causing so much stress on them, and then they're just basically venting it out on each other. Because like when you get mad, you tend to like scrutinize every little thing. Like normally, if someone messes up like a tiny little flaw, like if you're normal, like not mad or anything, you'll just let it go. But if you get mad when you're angry and they do the same thing, you're gonna have like a different reaction. Normally, not a very good reaction. And this shows how like all this stress and everything is causing the family to fall apart. And what I think, and this is kind of like I think kind of how Sinclair is saying is like, look, this capitalism stuff is causing all these families to fall apart. And he's saying, and so, but socialism will remedy this. And so that's what I'm getting out of this.
So, when the leader of the meatpacking plant, the boss, I guess, raped Ona, and Jargus went in and attacked him like an animal, they made reference. I think they said that he was like a tiger. What do you guys think Sinclair was trying to say about the capitalist system in that whole affair? Because I think that had definitely a lot of significance.
And I believe that it goes to a further extent. Not only is it showing how they're trying to rebel, it's showing how they're stuck. There's nothing they can do. He, his his wife was literally raped um, by the corporation, by the business leader that she works with, and uh, it's obviously a wrong. And he gets angry, obviously, because nothing else is going right. Then in the courtroom, just the they don't see his point at all. It's obviously biased against him, and he just gets sent to jail. And it just shows how this industrial working class is just stuck. And by the end of this whole like ordeal, like his wife and his son, they've died. They really can't fight the system, and it's they're just trying to figure out what to do, but it's pretty difficult to get out.
I agree with that, and I also think that it shows how capitalism brings humanity down a level, down back to the primitive age of dog eat dog philosophy. So, as we read, Jargus chooses to abandon his family and live on his own, mainly by begging for work from farmers and taking an eye for an eye along the way. For example, when farmers wouldn't accept him in, he would. One farmer, I think he uprooted 100 of the farmer's trees or something like that. So I think what Sinclair is doing here is showing what happens when someone reverts to the underhanded tactics that come with capitalism to gain a foothold in the system. What do you guys think Sinclair's saying?
Yeah, I feel like this is more of just like kind of a phase for Jargus. He's tried the whole like every type of position with being honest hard worker, trying to get what he wants, and working hard to get there. and he realizes maybe if he uh, maybe succumbs to the system. I guess that's what he's starting to do during this part of the book, like being a scab and being high position with uh, in the whole industry, and he's trying to find a position in this whole area of the American idealism, and it just shows how it's not as simple as the whole American ideal, as how that tries to portray it.
Right, that you sort of have to abandon your moral ideals to be able to get anywhere in the system.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Um, so another interesting thing to see in the story was when Jargus came across this very rich Freddie Jones, who took him back to his place and showed him around while he was drunk. And um, it was a very interesting, strong contrast between someone who had probably never worked a day in his life and had a lot of money, it paid off to live like him, and then versus someone who had a life of work and hardship with limited results, bad results, basically. How would you both characterize the title as it's relevant to capitalism, and what do you think? Do you think Sinclair made a wise choice in naming his book The Jungle and making these kind of references?
Like as you keep reading, as you keep thinking about it, like you realize that like Jurgis and his family are all basically just prey of like the capitalist predators of all these big corporations and stuff, like the bigger and stronger people who prey on the weak. Like again, as Walter said about his social Darwinism, and how this also applies to this. Like America, it's basically Sinclair is basically saying America's a jungle, and in the jungle, the weak are normally overtaken and used by the strong, and which is how it is in an actual jungle.
In the end, the meat packers, how they he showed the people thought of his book as a fight against meat packers and the bad stuff they're putting in their book. Do you think this shows a flaw in his thesis?
Like this definitely is kind of a win in a sense for Sinclair, but like going back on what like Ezra had said about how could all this like hamper his thesis, like I agree with what Walter said about that. Like it didn't like yeah it didn't hamper it at all. It's just the reason why this happened was because like people mistook it. Like it wasn't like Sinclair's fault in any way. It wasn't a fault of the book of the jungle at all. It was basically the fault of the people for misunderstanding it. But then again, this is a good flaw in his own way because yes, Sinclair did manage to succeed in like changing, like reforming something, like the meat packing. Like that is actually in itself a good thing.
So in any case, this has been our podcast on the jungle. Thanks for listening.